finish back in Pinerolo after 262 kilometers on the day. And we now welcome you to our Stage 10 coverage of the 2009 Giro d'Italia on Universal Sports. Hi everybody, Steve Schlanger once again alongside Todd Gogulski as we look out at the snow-covered peaks in northwestern Italy and some of the amazing architecture dotting the landscape here. And now let's take you to the full bar general classification standings coming into stage number 10. Danilo De Luca still wearing the pink jersey, holding a 13-second lead over Thomas Lobquist. Levi Leipheimer holding a top 5 position inside of a minute back, and all the way at the bottom, Lance Armstrong of the Astana team, 4:39 behind the pink jersey. Now, earlier today, this was the peloton again coming through the finish for the first. So putting himself, at least for the moment, back in the GC picture. However, we expect things to change dramatically as the stage unfolds. Still 2 big climbs to go. And now picking up the action here with the peloton on the climb to Sestriere, the second of the 2 climbs here today. And Todd Gogulski, this is a very historic climb. You see the green line indicating that the riders are on the ascent right now, and average gradient a little over 6%. We could see some gaps by the time this climb finishes.
Yeah, I think it's a great move by Garzelli here. He's been taken out of the general classification by cracking on the previous mountaintop finishes. This is the day after the rest day, so the rider's rhythm a little bit messed up from the rest day. Some guys do really good on rest days, others don't. So it's a great day to go on the attack, and Garzelli certainly sees the opportunity here, and he's using it to his advantage right now. But I do think that the LPR squad of Danilo De Luca, the overall leader, is going to do a lot of work here and keep him in check. It's going to be very hard for Garzelli to make this work all the way to the finish.
Well, this is where the race stands right now on the climb to Sestriere. Just about 71 kilometers left to go. Garzelli is our lone leader. There are a couple of chase groups on the road between Garzelli and the peloton. ISD has a couple of riders behind Garzelli, about 4 minutes off the pace. Giovanni Visconti and Andre Grivko. We also have another group that includes Dario Cione, Jose Serpa Perez, Charles Wegelius, and Felix Cardenas Rovallo. And no real GC threats in those chase groups. And as you saw by the graphic a moment ago, the gap is now coming down even more. So all of those chase groups taking time out of this man, Stefano Garzelli, who had over 4 minutes at the first climb of the day. And now Visconti and Grivko, who are the 2 riders behind him, now not too far off the pace, just a couple of minutes, and then 4 riders behind them before the peloton inside of 6 minutes back at the moment now.
Well, in our duo of Grivko and Visconti early in the season, in the there's Levi Leipheimer wearing his new helmet for the day, but Grivko and Visconti at the season opener, the race in Etruschi, Italy, they spent a huge amount of time off the front together in that as well, these teammates. They eventually got caught, so here they find themselves again chasing the race leader on the road, and we'll see if they can stay away to the finish today.
And now seeing some things changing, it appears, in the chase group and the riders who are pursuing Garzelli at the moment. As this long climb up Sestriere continues. And as far as the specs, it's a climb of just over 11 kilometers. The maximum gradient is 11%, and as we saw on the profile, the average gradient a little more than 6%.
Yeah, so I think today the thing to realize is that first climb where Gogulski went away, he got a bunch of time, and that's pretty much to be expected because it's a long way from the finish. You're not going to get any panic back in the peloton that early with that much climbing to go. But now we're on our second big Category 1 climb of the day, Sestriere. So the field is going to start to, by being steady and by Gogulski starting to get a little bit of fatigue, they're going to start to bring him back some on this climb. He's got a big enough gap, he's going to easily make it over this. The question really remains for the final categorized climb of the day, can he still stay away on that one?
Now the distance as much as the climbing figures to be a huge factor on the day. 262 kilometers overall. This is the longest stage of this year's race. And this man, Stefano Gogulski, in his 12th Giro d'Italia at 35 years of age, is our leader on the stage as he proceeds up this long climb to Sestriere. Some chase groups on the road, and we are underway with our Stage 10 coverage here on Universal Sports.
The 2009 Giro d'Italia is being brought to you by Full Bar. Be full, live full with Full Bar. And by Cervelo. Watch the development of a pro team at www.bartape.net.
He wants the new Tuscan chicken melt.
Tuscan chicken melt.
Nice to see you again.
Sensational. 2 summer blockbusters, one now at Subway and the other on screen. The new Tuscan Chicken Melt. Seasoned chicken and melted cheese with 9 grams of fat. Only at Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
Proactive Solution has good news if you have a difficult pimple or sudden breakout and can't find relief. Because when you order now, you'll get the exclusive refining mask free with your 3-piece kit. Just a dab, and the mask is designed to zap problems. It's fast. It's dramatic.
I put it on in the evening before I go to bed, and when I wake up in the morning, you don't have acne. That's a good feeling.
It works the fastest. It's potent. It's like my little skincare army.
Call now and order the amazing Proactive Solution to heal your acne and help prevent future breakouts. You'll save 50% on Proactive when you order in the next 4 minutes, just $19.95.
For on-the-spot pimple control, I use the refining mask. Just a little dab, that's all you need.
It's a Proactive Best product, and it's part of Proactive's Best offer. Don't just dream of clear, beautiful skin. Make it real. Order Proactive now and get a free upgrade to priority shipping. Call 1-800-766-6771.
Covered from start to finish.
That's a 2-door coupe with a really
big scratch across the back door. When can you get someone to
save me some money? I just got my bill from my insurance company, and it may be time for a change.
It all begins with a personalized insurance assessment where we take the time to understand you and then help you understand your options.
Sure, it's got anti-lock brakes and airbags, but I feel safe knowing I've got the right coverage, too.
Of course, the true measure of an insurance company is how you're treated if you have an accident. Amica is there for you 24/7. No wonder Business Week recognized us yet again for our customer service.
They went all out to settle my claim. I had no idea it would be so easy.
Call Amica now. Good drivers could save hundreds.
Saving money's nice. Great service is nicer. With Amica, I get both.
Call Amica today because
it's not just how you're covered.
It's how you're
treated.
Follow Lance Armstrong every day on the Giro d'Italia. Only on Universal Sports. We believe in cycling.
Our leader, Stefano Gogulski, on stage 10, still on the climb up to Sestriere, the peloton. Also on the lower slopes of the climb, all the way up to the summit in the Alpine village that sits just 11 miles from the border with France. Also was the site of the men's alpine skiing competitions back at the 2006 Winter Olympics that were headquartered in Torino. And still snow on the peaks of the mountains in the background. These are our two riders who are pursuing Gardzelli, the two ISD men, Giovanni Visconti and Andrei Grivko, the Ukrainian. Then there's a chase group of 4 behind them before the peloton is a little bit further down the road. That includes the pink jersey of that man who just rode out of your frame, Danilo De Luca in the Maglia Rosa.
Steve, we're seeing back here in the peloton all the GC guys pretty much content at the front of the field, letting the LPR team do the work. We saw Basso following the pink jersey of De Luca. And this man still out in front with a very sizable lead. That lead is coming down a little bit. But one thing also that's happening here with him being off the front, remember, he comes into this day wearing the Mountains leader's jersey, although he is in second place in that competition. He's 10 points behind De Luca, who's leading that, and he is already going to be passing him on the Mountains points if he makes it to the top of this climb in the first position.
Now catching glimpses of Lance Armstrong just a moment ago. As you see, he's in the Maglia Rosa group that's now 6:23 back of Gardzelli. Lance riding near the front of the peloton, and has to be quite a special day for Lance Armstrong, and nostalgic as well, because this is the 10-year anniversary of when he won this Sestriere mountain stage in the Tour de France in the first year he ever won the Tour back in 1999. It was an epic stage that day. Lance won in Sestriere, and now here he is 10 years later back on the same climb, but riding in the Giro.
Well, and Lance, by his own admission, back at the Tour of California in February, saying it's not the body so much that gives up at 37, it's the mind. And he said he's refreshed, his mind is good, and he's hungry again. And the other thing you got to say is that probably the rest day worked in Lance's favor, because he's coming back into racing at this level. He probably needed that rest more than some of the other guys, and so hopefully he'll be bouncing back a little bit stronger. We certainly saw him looking good over the first categorized climb of the day.
Stefano Gardzelli wearing number 1, again, is the oldest active former winner of the Giro d'Italia in the peloton, because defending champion Alberto Contador is not here this year, as he makes his way towards the summit of the climb in Sestriere. And then after that, 44 kilometers of descending down from the mountains to the foothills outside of the finishing town of Pinerolo.
Well, Gardzelli, you know, he's a guy who won this race back in 2000. Then a few years later, he came second to Gilberto Simoni, a tough battle there. But he hasn't really had it since then, and he's looking to do something very big here today. This is sort of the Hail Mary move of cycling. And speaking of Hail Mary, these guys, what is that costume, Steve?
It looks like the boxers and the ski helmet. And Gardzelli, no doubt, wanting to drop these boys as quickly as possible. You talk about wanting to ride somebody off your wheel.
Yeah,
that would be a classic case.
Yeah, that brings new meaning to the spring skiing outfit, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now, these are the ISD boys who are trying to hunt down Gardzelli. They're the next two down the road. Stefano Gardzelli trying to hang on to an advantage of over 6 minutes. 2 kilometers left to go up to the summit of the climb in Sestriere on stage 10 here at the Giro d'Italia.
After performing almost 1,500 weight loss surgeries, I know the real secret to losing weight. In people who have had surgery, the upper part of your stomach is stretched out after a meal, and your brain says, stop, I'm full. Virtually every bariatric procedure uses this mechanism, but not everyone needs surgery. That's why I created Full Bar. By eating a safe, all-natural Full Bar and drinking a glass of water before the 2 largest meals of your day, the same principles go to work, but without the surgery. After a very small meal, the upper part of your stomach is stretched out, and your brain says, stop, I'm full.
That's why in a recent study, 95% of the people who ate Full Bar lost weight. For added fullness, try Aquafull. Visit fullbar.com now. And call or visit us online to find out how to get your free month supply of all-natural Full Bar and free copy of Why Diets Don't Work.
Nike has a rich history in running, and today that legacy continues. Bill Bowerman was one of the co-founders of Nike, and he was also Steve Prefontaine's coach. And as a coach, he liked to make each and every one of his athletes' shoes by hand. Today, his legacy continues with the Bowerman series. And these shoes are only made in 2 factories worldwide. So what that gives you, the runner, is a very impeccable amount of quality control. Each one of their shoes in this series, that's 8, is done with minimal changes throughout the year. So this way, from the upper to the bottom, doesn't matter. You're getting the same shoe when you get out there and purchase the next one. And also, they're gender specific. So whether or not you're a guy or a gal, it doesn't matter. They figured out your anatomy, and they've got you covered.
For more information on this or any gear guide, go to universalsports.com/gear.
Job injury. The injuries wish they could shoot you like they would a lame horse. They're not in the business of caring about human suffering. They're in the business of increasing corporate profits. I've handled many work comp cases throughout my career, and I know just how unfair the system is to injured workers. That's why I fight for people, not corporations.
Call Brian Moore now at 303-377-5959.
Ellen's Outdoor Show is a big tradition. So next, Ellen, it's her big Backlot Bash.
It's our biggest show of the year. There's going to be thousands of people and 3 bathrooms.
With George Lopez, plus an outdoor concert with Gwen Stefani and No Doubt.
And George Lopez, I think, is on flute.
What Ellen says goes, so we're taking it outside.
They don't call me Ellen, I gets what I want so generous for nothing.
The Ellen Show, nominated for 12 Emmys.
Ellen today at 3 on Channel 9.
The 33-year-old Italian, Danilo De Luca. Another day for him in the Mille Rosa near the front of the peloton, and also staying safely out of danger is Lance Armstrong and a few of his Astana teammates riding near the head of the main field right now. Well, of course, Lance and Livestrong.com have been providing us with video blogs so far throughout the Giro d'Italia, and earlier today, Johan Brunel had a meeting on the team bus previewing the stage, and Livestrong.com provided us with access to that. Let's take a look at how the meeting went.
The climbs. We all know Sestriere. Who doesn't know Sestriere?
I've driven over it.
Well, anyway, it's not that difficult of a climb. It is after 200 kilometers. So
we go the same way that we went 10 years ago?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not.
It's pretty wide, no hairpins.
Yeah. No, it's 6-7% all the time. So
back then.
The first climb here, the first climb, the Monte of what is it, Montesizio. That's pretty steep. The last 7 kilometers are on tiny, windy roads. The downhill is a good road. It's not a problem. Then Sestriere is all good. The downhill also, and then this last climb is pretty steep, as you have seen on the profile, 8-9% all the time. The final of the stage is complicated. A technical descent here. This is what the description says, a very technical descent. We come down, and instead of going straight here, what we could have done, straight into the finish, we go up here, and this is a 12% climb, 400 or 500 meters, and I think cobblestones.
Probably.
Good.
So, anyway, it doesn't. I don't think that we're gonna be a lot of people left here, and even less here. It's not gonna be a big field. Somebody told us yesterday that there were gonna be 100 guys, but I don't think so. So I don't think today is going to be a race where there's going to be a lot of changes in GC. Maybe a break goes. I don't know what LPR is going to do. If they probably want to keep the jersey. Di Luca could be a good stage for Di Luca with that little thing at the end. Maybe try to take some time on the guys. He thinks he can take time on Levi, on Basso. With
the bonuses.
Yeah, but with the little, it's a little acceleration, then crazy to the finish and bonification. So I think it's a big gamble for a team to control a whole stage of 262K for maybe that result at the end. But For us, I think we should not expect a lot of changes, and so we just do what we have been doing until now. We'll pick our days. For Levi, the big next appointment is the time trial, and then after that, you know, depending on how he has gone, we may have a lot of work to do. So let's just think about that.
Let's hope.
Now, Johan holding court in the Astana team bus prior to the start of today's stage. Again, we thank Livestrong.com for providing us access to the video blogs throughout the Giro d'Italia. And Todd, that seems to be the consensus, what we heard Johan talking about, that the stage is long and hard, but potentially might not be that selective in the end.
Yeah, with the Sestriere coming so far from the finish, there's definitely a chance, especially as we see the race unfolding now, that we have a few guys off the front. The front of the field's really just going to go steady, and it's not going to be super selective. Anything that happens here is going to happen late, and we don't even know right at this point if Garzelli's going to make it to the line or not. So GC, probably not a huge shakeup today, but the finish of this race is very tricky. The roads are extremely narrow and very windy, so we got to definitely be on the lookout here for something to happen.
For some more of Lance's thoughts, you can go to the website Livestrong.com, as in addition to video, Lance also has some of his other tactics, strategy, and general thoughts on this Giro d'Italia. So go to the website again, Livestrong.com. Well, here is Stefano Garzelli now coming to the top of the climb, getting into the village of Sestriere now. And again, this climb maxes out at 11% in terms of gradient after averaging a little more than 6, and 11.2 kilometers overall.
I think it's interesting to note, going back to that team meeting there, that the riders, and even to some degree Brunel, doesn't know exactly if this is the same climb, for instance, that Lance did in 10 years ago. And so that's just a factor of how many different races these guys are doing day to day, year to year, that it's hard to keep it all straight. And though a lot of people watching may say, wow, like they have this meeting the morning of and it's like they don't really know the course that well. Well, the reason why is because they don't think this is a pivotal stage today. And if they thought this were a pivotal mountain stage, and especially in the days of old and when Lance was riding the Tour, he would preview all the mountain courses, but because he's just come out of retirement, they haven't had time necessarily to preview all the mountain courses, and they only preview the ones they think that are really critical.
And what we see here is a 6:20 time margin between this main field and the lead of Stefano Garzelli, who's approaching the summit of the climb. What we saw a moment ago, the two ISD riders, they are in the first of two chase groups on the road, Giovanni Visconti and Andre Grivko, a couple of minutes back at last check of this man at the head of the race. Stefano Garzelli, 4 men behind the two ISD riders as well, but none of the 6 in the 2 chasing groups are really an overall threat for the general classification, so no big worries for the Maglia Rosa right now. Garzelli of the Aqua and Sapone team.
You know, really an impressive ride from Garzelli here, not to be reeled in by Grivko and Visconti. 2 guys behind him, and not just any 2 guys, but 2 teammates. So they're completely 100% in on trying to chase this man down. There's no monkey business going on back there because they're on the same team, and they still cannot match Garzelli. So Garzelli having an incredible ride here as he's well in more than halfway into this race, and there are not that many obstacles between where he is now and the finish line.
Now the climb summiting a little more than 200 kilometers into today's longest stage of this year's Giro. 262 kilometers altogether. And Stefano Garzelli, again, wearing the green jersey because De Luca is still in pink, even though De Luca is the leader on the King of the Mountains classification, and Garzelli sitting second. But as he launched his attack going first over the initial summit of the day, now it looks like he'll go first over this second major climb. He could be riding himself into the actual King of the Mountains lead by the end of the day.
Yeah, he's going to be picking up the maximum bonification on the top of this climb for that. And speaking of the top of the climb, it's only just a little bit away from him now. So he looks very smooth still on the climb. He's pedaling a nice cadence, no unusual body language to show that he is slowing whatsoever. He's looking very solid.
Well, it's been a while since we've gotten precise measurement in terms of where the chase groups are, and these are our two ISD riders who will be the next to summit that climb after Gardzelli has already gone through. So Stefano Gardzelli now has gone over the summit of the 2 Category 1 ascents on the day. He still has a Cat 2 to come later on in the stage, and the clock ticking to see where the chase groups are and where the peloton is. That includes the Maglia Rosa of Danilo De Luca. And Lance Armstrong coming up to the wheel of De Luca as Danilo sitting 3rd from the front of the main field here at the moment.
Interesting to see now, Steve, that Liquigas has come up to the front of the field. You see Lance sitting in 4th. And so interesting, though, for me to see that Basso has taken some of his men and said, we need to chip into this LPR effort on the front. So right now he's got Valerio Agnoli on the front, the Italian, helping out just a little bit. And, you know, I think if I were Basso, I would not help LPR chase at all right now, because that team has shown itself to be extremely formidable, and De Luca's been on incredible form, and you want to wear that team out. You want to try and isolate De Luca. Every time you help his team on a chase, it's going to help them get that much more recovery, and they'll feel that much stronger to defend that jersey.
These are the 2 ISD teammates, Giovanni Visconti, the Italian, and Andrei Gribko, the Ukrainian. And now the 4 riders who are next down the road: Dario Cione, Jose Serpa Perez, Charles Wegelius, and Felix Cardenas Ravallo. Again, 2 chase groups between our leader Gardzelli and the main field, and none of the 6 really an overall threat on the general classification. So that's why the cameras are concentrating more on Gardzelli and the pink jersey back in the peloton. Now still over 2 minutes now to these 2 who are yet to summit the climb in Sestriere.
Yeah, I think the real story now is, what does Gardzelli have for the rest of the day? Can he hold off the 2 ISD riders chasing him? And if he does hold them off, can he hold them off all the way to the line? And the question also, can these guys make it up to him? And then they have a threesome, and a trio of riders really will have a better shot at staying away. But Gardzelli has such a big gap, he can't wait for these guys.
Now the crowd's swelling as you get towards the summit of this climb in Sestriere, and then the descending begins. 44K. It's a very long descent from Sestriere, and Gardzelli the only one going downhill at the moment. Well, 190 riders took the start today in Cuneo for this longest stage, the Queen stage of this year's Giro. Ending in Pinerolo after 262K. And by the way, this summit of Sestriere is the highest point in this year's Giro d'Italia, as it goes 6,676 feet in overall elevation. So the highest point climbed in this year's Grand Tour here of Italy in the 100th anniversary edition, and the peloton on the climb right now as the clock continues to tick from when Gardzelli went through the summit.
And you got to remember also that at this summit where Gardzelli has gone through, he's roughly 120 miles into this 160-mile day. So you have to put that into context. You got to realize that it's been a lot of hours on the saddle with a lot of vertical, and these guys' legs are starting to really feel that. And 25 meters here for our 2 pursuants to that King of the Mountains. So Grivko leading Visconti over the top, and these guys need to get right into their downhill pursuit and really try to close on Gardzelli, because they need 3 men if they want to make this stay away.
And now the second chase group approaching the summit. So Visconti and Grivko have now gone over and will begin the downhill portion of this particular climb. Now the Silence Lotto rider up front is Wegelius, the rider from Great Britain. The Barlow World rider there in the back, Felix Cardenas Ravallo. And then in between, it's the ISD rider, Dario Cione, in the green and the black. And then also the Diqui Giovanni rider in the blue and the white there, Jose Serpa Perez. They'll be the next to the summit of the climb. Now this is already a very hard day with the 3 climbs, and the distance of 262 kilometers was originally going to be a lot harder because it was supposed to be a 5-climb stage going up into the French Alps before coming back to Italy, but because of some landslide issues and a lack of cooperation with some French authorities, they've had to change the course of today's route. They added that climb here in Italy at the end of today's stage, but it was going to be a lot harder, if you can believe that.
Yeah, it's an incredible day of racing, and certainly by the organizer throwing in the final climb at the end certainly spices things up a little bit, even though they have taken some of the major climbs out of the stage. So our next group of 4 over the top, about 5.5 minutes down over our leader. So Garzelli, nobody able to even come close to this man so far today. You know, you look at his season so far, he was second to Scarponi, the Liquigas rider, in the overall earlier this year at Tirreno Adriatico, but he has not had a major victory. This certainly would be one to remember if he can pull this off.
So these 4 riders going over the summit. Now the road flattening out before it really starts to go downhill. Chasing 2 riders just in front of them, and then the overall race leader, Stefano Garzelli. So the only rider still left on the climb in Sestriere, the main field that contains all of the marquee players for the GC, including the Maglia Rosa of Danilo De Luca. And now, here they come over the summit as well. So everybody summiting this Category 1 climb in Sestriere now.
And you know, it's really quite a bit easier for these chasers to get their sustenance on the downhill, because while one guy's leading the descent, tucking and keeping the speed up, the guys on the back can stretch, they can eat, they can drink, but the man who's solo, much tougher to do.
So now over 40 kilometers of descending for the entire field here, with Stefano Garzelli still out front here after over 200 kilometers in stage 10 at the Giro.
Hi, I'm John Scherer, CEO and founder of Video Professor. I'm the guy that gives away the free computer learning lessons. Well, today I'm here to tell you about a great new product that many of you have been asking for. And here it is, how to buy and sell on eBay, and I'll give it to you free. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I can make you the next millionaire selling an attic full of baseball cards, but I can guarantee you that I'll teach you everything you need to know about eBay while cleaning out your garage and probably putting some money in your pocket at the same time. Now, I can do this because I know that once you try my lesson on eBay, you'll be so satisfied that the next time you need to learn anything about computers, you'll come back to Video Professor for all your computer learning needs. And with over 55 lessons on all of today's most popular computer programs, I know that there's more you'll want to learn. Call now and I'll send you eBay or any other lesson of your choice free. So what do you got to lose? Try my product.
Call 1-800-771-8343. That's 1-800-771-8343.
What's going on, everybody? Hanging out here in the Han booth, and I want to talk to you about the Mu Uno. Now, this is their bare bones, lightweight urban cruiser bike. It's got 16-inch wheels, but it's got some really unique features as well. Say you're out there riding around that urban landscape and you come across some glass. You ride over it and get a flat tire. You've changed the tire and now you're looking around for a gas station or a pump. Not a lot of them in downtown New York City. So what you do here is you hit this quick release mechanism, pull out the seat post, unscrew the cap like so, and it will reveal a hidden pump. You flip it open, take out this cable, attach it to the valve stem, and you can then pump your tire right back up. It's awesome. I'm really psyched about it. I love little gadgets. So then you just screw it back on like that. Make sure you get those threads in there, and then you put it right back in the seat post.
It calls to me, its spirit alive and unchanged. It makes me feel insignificant. Yet it helps me find my place in the world.
Plan your Wyoming getaway. Visit roadtripwyoming.com. Wyoming, forever West.
Get ahead of the crowd. USA Today Mondays.
all it takes to make the rest of your week smarter.
In news, what's ahead with the new administration, at the gas pumps, and around the world. In money, what top execs are thinking, what they're reading. In sports, the big view that goes beyond the local favorites. In life, hear the stars talk for themselves.
Start your week smarter with USA Today. Subscribe for home delivery. Now get 12 weeks for just $30. That's 50% off the retail price. Call today.
Former Giro d'Italia winner Stefano Garzelli leading this stage 10 and on the descent of the climb to Sestriere.
And it's really critically important for him right now to bang a bunch of calories into his system. So he's got to get some gels in his system, he's got to get some drinks, and then he's got to focus on staying aerodynamic, keeping his speed up, and dialing all these corners on the descent.
Now the peloton still several minutes back after the summit of the climb in Sestriere. That includes the pink jersey of our overall race leader, Danilo De Luca, as it starts to stretch out on this very technical descent, but also hovering near the front of this main field, Lance Armstrong. And the Astana man sitting in third wheel right now. So Lance was looking good on the climbs, and Armstrong now well positioned here on the descent as everybody is chasing this man, Stefano Garzelli, who still sits out front. Well, we are joined now by Columbia High Road rider George Hincapie, who's joining us from his home in the U.S. And George, you, of course, were a longtime teammate of Lance Armstrong. And so far, we've already seen him climbing on today's Stage 10 with his Astana teammates. And today, obviously, a nostalgic day for Lance, the 10-year anniversary of his climb over Sestriere back in the 1999 Tour de France. The Astana boys, as well as the rest of the peloton, riding over Sestriere as part of today's huge day in the mountains at the Giro d'Italia. George, first of all, tell me, how has Lance been looking to you so far in this Giro, and what do you think about how he'll perform in the final 2 weeks of the competition?
Well, I think so far he's been looking great. It's hard to come back from a broken collarbone. I know from experience that, it really takes a lot of energy out of your body to recuperate and to do all the rehab. Okay. And at the same time, trying to stay fit on the bicycle. So it's really a bunch of different things going on in your body at the same time that make it hard for you to perform at your best. But saying that, I mean, he's been doing great. The first week he was climbing with the favorites on some of the hardest days, and he had a couple days where he was a little bit further back, but I think he was holding back, and I think he's looking great.
George, this time trial coming up in the Cinque Terre, almost 61 kilometers, very technical, extremely undulating. It almost looks on paper like it's really not going to favor the pure time trialist so much as just the incredible bike handler. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I think it's still going to favor the time trialists. I mean, from what I hear, I don't think anybody's going to be using time trial bikes. They're going to be using road bikes. So I think it's just going to be a question of who can do that kind of effort. I think it's still the best time trialists like Levi and Nick Rogers and Menchoff. A lot of people are talking about Menchoff and maybe Sastre. So I can see those guys still being up there just because of how hard the course is. And you still got to do a time trial type effort, but with groaning climbs and technical descents as well.
Do you think the final time trial we're going to see Lance close to the podium?
I would guess yes. I mean, he seems to be improving. He seems to be staying well within himself, and I think that would be a big test for him to see, how he possibly ride in the month of July. So I think he can be really motivated for that final time trial, and be surprised if he does really well.
George, obviously Columbia High Road has had a terrific first week of the Giro, 4 overall stage wins. You're a member of the team. I guess this is probably not a big surprise for you, huh?
Well, I mean, we knew we had a great shot with the team time trial, but I think, and obviously with Cavendish winning stages, but with Bo Hansen winning the stage and, getting second on 2 days, and then Constantine winning the stage in Bergamo solo, that was, obviously, you can't predict that's going to happen, and for them to win 3 stages in a row is pretty phenomenal. I mean, really the way the team's been riding all year is incredible, and it's been great to be part of it.
Well, final question for you, George. This is such an unpredictable Giro. 2 very tough weeks of racing still to go. From a tactical point of view, how do you think this is going to play out, and who's going to be your favorite?
Yeah, it's going to be depending on what happens in the next mountain days, but my favorites are Leipheimer, Rogers, and Menchoff. I think one of those 3 might be able to win.
George Hincapie, we appreciate the time. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And with just inside of 50K left to go on stage number 10, Stefano Garzelli still looking very good, hanging on to a pretty healthy lead over the 2 chasing groups as well as the main field. Again, 2 ISD riders immediately behind Garzelli, 4 in a chase group behind them. So 6 riders in all between Garzelli and the main field that contains the major general classification players, including our overall race leader, Danilo De Luca. There are the 2 ISD men, Visconti and Grivko, who are behind Stefano Garzelli right now, as they are on the long descent from Sestriere, 44 kilometers in total length. Still one more climb to go, a Cat 2 coming up later on in the day to Pramartino, and that will summit just inside of 10 kilometers from the finish line.
And that final climb actually pretty tough. It's got some very steep pitches up at 12%. And Garzelli right now has to be thinking about that, going through his mind. Got to maintain the pace down here, got to stay low to save energy by being aerodynamic, but need to get to that final climb. You see him getting out of the saddle several times here. That's just to kind of stretch the back, change the position a little bit. But that final climb, he really has to master that in order to make this escape work. Now
Garzelli started the day in 36th position in GC. He was 6:49 away from the pink jersey, and he's held a lead of 6:25 at its largest point over the main field in the pink jersey so far today. So taking a lot of time out of the overall lead, but they expect to bring him back. We'll see how it unfolds as our coverage continues from Italy on Universal Sports.
Finally, good news for people with type 2 diabetes or at risk for diabetes. Introducing new Nutrisystem D, the clinically tested program for losing weight and reducing blood sugar.
Ready? Let's go. It doesn't matter who you are. The first step is always the hardest. I'm Mike, and I lost 100 pounds on Nutrisystem D. When I was first diagnosed with diabetes, that first step was more like a giant leap, until I discovered Nutrisystem D.
New Nutrisystem D is based on over 35 years of weight loss research and on the science of the low glycemic index diet, full of good carbs and high in fiber. The clinical study shows people on Nutrisystem D lost 16 times more weight and reduced their blood sugar levels 5 times more than those on a hospital-directed plan. A1C was reduced by 0.9% and cholesterol was also reduced by 22.5 milligrams.
Losing weight and lowering my blood sugar has never been easier.
There's no counting carbs, calories, or points. Choose from over 140 menu options, including gourmet-style fresh frozen dishes, and get free delivery from our kitchens to your doorstep. Nutrisystem D includes free round-the-clock phone counseling, plus access to our registered dietitians, plus free online tools. Support is at your fingertips, free. New Nutrisystem D costs as low as $11 a day. It's $55 less a month than what many Americans spend on food. That's hundreds less than other weight loss programs.
I lost 100 pounds and lowered my blood sugar level. Nutrisystem D changed my life.
Mike's not alone. Many people have lost weight and lowered their blood sugar level with new Nutrisystem D. New Nutrisystem D. It's satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. You've got nothing to lose but the weight.
Want to keep going?
New Nutrisystem D for people with diabetes who want to lose weight and live better. Call or click today.
Suffered major injuries, automobile accident. Our whole family was devastated. The insurance company denied liability. We hired Brian Moore. He helped us recover $1 million.
Hi, I'm attorney Brian Moore. I'm a former judge, and I've been fighting insurance companies all my life, and they don't frighten me.
We're sure glad we called Brian.
This Memorial Day weekend, celebrate with the Denver Brass. Bring a can of food for 9 Cares Colorado Shares to the Sound of America, performed by the Denver Brass May 22nd and 23rd, and get $5 off admission. traffic line from 9 News has a new number. For real-time Denver Metro traffic info, call 866-737-7341. The new traffic line from 9 News. Congratulations, Drew Soicher, voted best sportscaster by the Colorado Broadcasters Association.
Follow Lance Armstrong every day on the Giro d'Italia. Only on Universal Sports. We believe in cycling.
Now just about 5.5 hours deep into the Queen stage of the Giro d'Italia, longest stage this year at 262 kilometers from Cuneo to Pinerolo. And the green line is where the race is at the moment on the descent from Sestriere. One more categorized climb to go, the Catu Tramontina. That will come inside the final 20K on the day. It actually hits the summit inside the last 10K before the finish line. And then there's also a little bump that could be sort of tricky that's inside the last 3K before the finish line. And there's a 400-meter section of cobblestones, and it kicks up to 15% at one point. So it's not a categorized climb, but after so much racing, a long day, and 3 categorized climbs out on the road, that could make a difference.
Yeah, the end of this race, very selective in its own right. And certainly right now, as we just saw from our graphic of the progress of Gogulski off the front, this long, wide open descent really working against our solo breakaway man. It's very easy for the peloton to gain a lot of momentum on a downhill like this. It's not tricky, so it's easy for teams to get organized and move to the front en masse. And Gogulski just all on his own.
And these are the 2 men behind Gogulski, our first of 2 chasing groups, the ISD teammates, Giovanni Visconti and Andrei Grivko. Now, it's a very long descent from the summit of Sestriere that we already mentioned was the scene of Lance's historic stage win back in the 1999 Tour de France. But as far as the Giro history and Sestriere, you go back a few years to 2005, there was also a huge battle on Sestriere between Paolo Salvadelli, who at the time was trying to win his 2nd Giro. He was going against Gilberto Simoni and, oddly enough, our current race leader here at this year's Giro, Danilo De Luca. Paolo Salvadelli ended up winning. De Luca finished 4th overall in the Giro back in 05, and that was first, his initial big revelation in terms of the Giro. He rode very well for the first time that year, and then, as we all know, went on to win 2 years later in 2007.
Yeah, he certainly showed that he had the ability that year, and followed that up with a very commanding win a couple years later. But I think that the competition this year in the race is a little bit deeper. And though De Luca has looked extremely strong, I think it's going to be a huge battle all the way to the finish. And De Luca certainly has stated that earlier in the race, just that this thing is far from over, and it's going to be a real battle royale all the way through.
Now 5.5 minutes from the De Luca group, who you see right there, up to Stefano Gogulski. And we heard Johan Brunel earlier in the video blog from Livestrong.com mention that this is an ideal day for De Luca to perhaps steal some time near the end of the stage. And if you're a guy like De Luca, that's really tactically what you have to be thinking, because you're just 2 days away from what could be that decisive, lengthy time trial of 61 kilometers. He has some time over his main rivals right now in the race lead, but by his own admission, he's going to lose some time in that time trial. He says he may lose 2, 3, maybe even more minutes to some of the top TT guys, so he's got to take chunks out along the way, and today could be one of those days.
Yeah, I have not heard, as Gogulski now negotiating a bit of pave in the switchback. That always keeps it a little interesting. But for the most part, this descent is pretty smooth, pretty wide open, and just a few sections here of pave just to keep things a little bit interesting. I have not heard if De Luca has actually previewed the Cinque Terre time trial course. I know that Basso has seen it, and Leipheimer has not seen it. So, you know, some of the main contenders have seen it, some have not, and that could make a difference.
That's got to be easy to build. I mean, you know, hauling a bunch of rock up to a big slope like that, I mean, come on. Nothing to it, right?
Yeah, hauling it up on your back as well. Yeah, it makes it nice and easy. No crane.
Now Stefano Gogulski went away near the summit of the first big climb of the day. He's been first over the summit of the 2 Category 1s on the day. Will he still be alone over the summit of the final categorized climb, the Catu Tramontina, coming up in just a little while? That'll summit out inside the final 10K on the day. as the two ISD riders are now 2.5 minutes back. They are the first of two chasing packs, and then the peloton about 5.5 minutes back of our race leader, Stefano Garzelli. So Garzelli, our leader, on a sunny, warm day on stage 10 at the Giro here on Universal Sports.
With greasy fast food, what are you really getting? Try a tempting new Subway Tuscan Chicken Melt instead. Seasoned chicken and melted cheese with 9 grams of fat. Part of a Subway Fresh Fit meal. It's a simple way to enjoy eating better. Subway, eat fresh.
Millions have lost weight on the South Beach Diet, and now it's supercharged for even faster weight loss at southbeachdiet.com.
I get to eat delicious food while losing weight.
SouthBeachDiet.com makes it so easy to lose weight.
With South Beach Diet Supercharged, you'll rev up your metabolism so you'll lose weight even faster.
It's the easiest and the most delicious diet I've ever been on.
I've lost 33 pounds.
Go to southbeachdiet.com today and start losing weight with 7 days of the new South Beach Diet Supercharged absolutely free.
Rabobank is the latest protein giant bicycle has partnered with to develop the world's fastest, lightest, stiffest, most comfortable bike. The TCR Advanced SL has been engineered for the demands of the world's best riders. But it isn't just pros like Robert Gessink who gain from Giant's expertise. Everyone who rides a Giant road bike feels the benefit with the first pedal stroke.
The moment I stepped on it and started riding, I really feel it when you accelerate. You really feel like all the power is making you go faster. You're going straight ahead, and that's what you want with a bike. And in general, the normal bike for normal people will also get lighter, will get stiffer, and get better. Just because we only want the best stuff to ride on.
It calls to me. Its spirit alive and unchanged. It makes me feel insignificant. Yet it helps me find my place in the world.
Plan your Wyoming getaway. Visit roadtripwyoming.com. Wyoming, forever west.
Get ahead of the crowd. USA Today Mondays. All it takes to make the rest of your week smarter.
In news, what's ahead with the new administration, at the gas pumps, and around the world. In money, what top execs are thinking, what they're reading. In sports, the big view that goes beyond the local favorites. In life, hear the stars talk for themselves.
Start your week smarter with USA Today. Subscribe for home delivery. Now get 12 weeks for just $30. That's 50% off the retail price. Call today.
Stage 10 of the 2009 Giro d'Italia continues on Universal Sports the day after the first of 2 rest days. And now our stage leader, Stefano Garzelli, with 35K to go to the finish line in Pinerolo. And right now, just about halfway through this 44-kilometer descent from the second climb of the day in Sestriere. And this stage 10 originally was supposed to honor one of the great solo rides in the history of cycling. You might remember the 1949 solo effort of Fausto Coppi after a 190K solo breakaway that year that included 5 daunting climbs. Coppi won by nearly 12 minutes, and he attacked on the first climb of the day that was the Col de Maddalena and stayed away the entire day. It was an amazing ride, and that's one of 3 previous times that the Giro has included the stage from Cuneo to Pinerolo in the profile of this first Grand Tour of the season. And as I said, today's route was supposed to pay homage to that ride, but because of a few factors, they had to alter the course. Again, they had some difficulty getting their radio frequencies lined up with the French authorities because this race was going to have to pass through the French Alps. They've also had some landslide issues that they're still dealing with from a while ago up in those French Alps, so the roads weren't passable. They had to alter the course, so as a result, instead of going up into the French Alps, it stays within the confines of Italy altogether. But still, 262K, 3 climbs, tough day in the saddle. On the left-hand side of your screen, Stefano Garzelli. Race leader on the right side. The two ISD men, Visconti and Grivko, the first of two chasing groups. The peloton behind the two chase groups on the day, and these men, the ISD boys, just about to pass under 35K left to go now. At last check, the pink jersey about 5.5 minutes back of Garzelli.
It's amazing to see that these two ISD riders still have not closed all the way up to our overall leader on the road, because one guy, it's much tougher to keep the pace up on a downhill like this.
Second chase group on the road here. ISD, Niqui Giovanni, Silence Lotto, and Barlow World represented here.
And though we have some riders in this group that are under 4 minutes down on the GC, none of these guys are known for their time trialing ability or for their climbing ability, to the point where in the two time trials coming up and in the 4 additional mountaintop finishes, these riders are going to slip further down in the overall. So the overall race leader, Danilo De Luca, not concerned about this one. And really Garzelli, to a certain degree, I mean, he's already pretty much stated that he can't probably win the overall classification. This is more of a big stage hunt that he's going for here, but still, nonetheless, the LPR squad on the front, they need to show that they have the strength and the control to actually be able to control the bike race, and they continue to just ride the tempo there on the front. It looks like by the clock now, they've come down significantly, 3 minutes, 30 seconds, as Garzelli's gap starting to be eroded.
Now Garzelli came into the first week of racing thinking that he might be able to do something to put himself in the pink jersey early, because we had mountain stages with summit finishes on stages 4 and 5, and at 35 years of age he knew that it would have to come in the first week because he would start to feel it as the race wore on, but he wasn't at his best back in week number 1, so trying to make up for it here on the day after the rest day, trying to put in a big solo effort here.
Yeah, Garzelli's really a well-rounded rider. I mean, he can do it all pretty well, and when he's on really good form, he can climb with the best climbers, but we have not seen that so far in this Giro. So in that last shot we just saw, the ISD riders looked like they had the man on the road out front, Garzelli, in their sights, so they should be coming together here fairly soon and bringing this to a 3-man lead group.
Well, Todd, considering the rest day, when you have a situation where you have your first rest day at a Grand Tour and then immediately following you have a big mountain day and a long stage like we have here today in the Italian Alps, what does that do to your legs? How does your body feel after one day off the bike for the most part?
It's a little bit different for different riders, and we talked about this a little bit the other day as well, because it's a really critical stage. It's like a transition in the middle of the race, and some guys will do very well on the rest day by just going out and taking it easy and not even doing very many hard efforts. And other riders know from experience that if they don't go out and really open it up the throttle a few times, that when they come back into this day, they're going to be severely hurting. One guy who's looked really good today is Lance Armstrong. It looks like he's benefited very well from the rest day, and I kind of anticipated that going into the rest day because, like we said, he's going into his first Grand Tour in 3.5 years. He hasn't been doing these long races, and so he's probably more fatigued from the early racing. However, you know, back to Lance, very interesting. Talking with Chris Horner the other day, he said, you know, Lance is a guy who is coming to the dinner table. He's not wrecked. He looks good. He's not looking very tired. He's upbeat. He's really riding himself into form during this Giro d'Italia.
Well, now the two ISD riders, Visconti and Grivko, going through 30K left to go to the finish. Well, we've been in this structure for today's stage for quite a while now, with Garzelli out in front, Visconti and Grivko in the first chase, 4 men behind them, and then the peloton even a little further back. And at its maximum, Garzelli had about 6.5 minutes over the main field, but the peloton now getting ever closer to starting to pick up some of the riders who were in those two chasing groups.
And we're seeing 3 riders here. I'm wondering if Garzelli...
Yeah, it's another rider up the road. Let's see exactly what's starting to happen here.
It's a pretty high view right now that we're seeing, so...
Now Well, it looks like that is the Barlow World rider.
So this is our second chase group on the road that is fractured. One rider has gone clear of the other three, most likely. And back to the peloton.
Felix Cardenas Ravalo. So,
and the other three getting caught right there from that group. So they're basically getting swallowed up right now.
So the peloton starting to accelerate here. We saw LPR on the front. Liquid Gas also represented there as well. Lance Armstrong about 4 riders deep from the front of the main field as well. So the pace has certainly picked up here as they look to bring back Stefano Garzelli.
And our final rider from the 4-man group is now back into the fold, and there are only 3 men left off the front with 30 kilometers to go.
So Garzelli leading, a 2-man chase group from ISD, and then the main field. But the gaps are starting to come down here on the descent from Sestriere here on stage 10 at the Giro d'Italia.
After performing almost 1,500 weight loss surgeries, I know the real secret to losing weight. In people who have had surgery, the upper part of your stomach is stretched out after a meal, and your brain says, "Stop, I'm full." Virtually every bariatric procedure uses this mechanism, but not everyone needs surgery. That's why I created Full Bar. By eating a safe, all-natural Full Bar and drinking a glass of water before the 2 largest meals of your day, the same principles go to work, but without the surgery. After a very small meal, the upper part of your stomach is stretched out and your brain says, "Stop, I'm full."
That's why in a recent study, 95% of the people who ate Full Bar lost weight. For added fullness, try Aquafull. Visit fullbar.com now. And call or visit us online to find out how to get your free month supply of all-natural Full Bar and free copy of Why Diets Don't Work.
In mountain bike racing, suspension is everything. It keeps you in control of your bike, and if it's built right, gets you to the finish line before everyone else. Giant's Maestro suspension was designed for anyone who rides dirt, with input from pros like Adam Craig, U.S. National XC and Super D champion.
I think we've got a pretty darn good bike line right now. I mean, Maestro suspension's been developed and really fine-tuned for each niche of the diverse cycling world, and it's been great to be a part of the Giant product development process. Just always getting new prototype stuff is exciting just from a basic, kid in the candy store perspective. And, being able to ride something and say, this is great, but it needs to be this. Or this is great right now, let's, get this thing to market as quick as we can. And it's been super educational and interesting.
No matter where you live, life in the ocean depends on you. Do your part to help protect it. Recycle and dispose of your trash properly. To learn what you can do, go to keepoceansclean.org.
Follow Lance Armstrong every day on the Giro d'Italia. Only on Universal Sports. We believe in cycling.
And now the American Lindsey Vann.
A big jump for her.
Oh, that's terrific.
She's got it. She's got it.
A sensational jump. Vann is going to get the gold. The first ever in women's ski jumping at the Nordic World Championships.
Universal Sports, home of world champions. Universal Sports.
Yes! A superhero today!
Home of world champions.
We bring you back to northwestern Italy in the Italian Alps for stage 10 of the 2009 Giro d'Italia. That's our stage leader at the moment, Stefano Garzelli, the 2000 winner of the Giro, now 35 years of age. He's been solo since the first climb of the day, but Some riders are starting to close in. The two ISD men who've been in pursuit in the first of two chase groups for most of the stage are within sight of them right now, and there they are. As the chase group behind them, a group of 4 guys, all from different teams, were swallowed up by the peloton. So this is the only chase group between the main field and Gogulski right now. Grivko and Visconti.
Grivko, the man you're seeing right now, number 95, the Ukrainian, is a 3-time national time trial champion, including last year, so he's the reigning champion in that discipline. And Visconti, the Italian on that squad, number 91, actually spent about a week in the Maglia Rosa last year. And so certainly these guys have a strong track record of success.
Yeah, Visconti also a former Italian national road racing champion. So some decorated resumes from the guys looking to hunt down a guy with a Grand Tour under his belt, Gogulski. And Stefano Gogulski now really slowing the pace here, maybe realizing that he's about to be caught as he looks over his shoulder, and then they can work his 3.
Yeah, that looks like a good time to get some sustenance in. Remember, when you're on your own on these descents, you don't have that luxury of really keeping your speed up and staying in the tuck and so on and getting all those calories in you quite as easily. It becomes very hard on the neck, very hard on the back. They don't get as low when they're on their own, when the descent is that long. They end up doing a lot more pedaling and a lot less coasting. And the two chasers are able to trade off. The guy on the front working very hard, the guy sitting on his wheel just completely coasting, and that helps them to bring them back.
Now Danilo De Luca, the pink jersey here with his teammates, leading the chase at the front of the main field. Liquigas is also up there as well, as is Lamprey. And now Gogulski waiting for some help as he's about to go under the banner that will indicate 25 kilometers to go from the finish line. So you got the two ISD guys who it looks like are about to join Gogulski. Then as a group of 3 with inside of 25K now left, what are the chances that these guys could make it to the finish?
Like to see a time gap here. We saw 2 minutes 9 seconds at the last point to Gogulski, but he's slowed down a little bit, so they're probably inside of 2 minutes to go to the pack, and they're just about 15 miles from the finish of the bike race. So really very much touch and go for this group of 3 right now. We're gonna see here in the next 10 minutes where this gap is going, and that'll give us a much better idea of whether or not they have a chance to stay away.
Now LPR still on front, and they've had quite a successful first week of the Giro. They've had a few stage wins with both De Luca and Pataki. The Pro Continental team from Italy doing just what they wanted to do and get a lot of exposure, get some stage wins, get the Maglia Rosa, and now De Luca has worn that pink jersey more than any other rider so far here in the first 10 days of the Giro this year. As the clock ticking in the right-hand portion of your screen. And this will give us an indication just how far those 3 riders are out in advance of the main field now. Still on the descent from Sestriere.
Well, I would say De Luca's performance so far in this year's Giro shows just how on form he is and how much of a formidable potential winner he is here in this race. Early in the race, I didn't think he was going to be this incredibly strong, and I thought he would lose the jersey sooner than halfway through the race. At this point, I don't know. He may hold this into the final week or all the way.
De Luca's already won a stage. He seems very motivated, seems to be on good form, and says he's on better form than he was back in 2007 when he won this Giro d'Italia. Main field going through 25K left, and they've got it inside of 2 minutes to our 3 race leaders up the road. So the margins coming down here on stage 10.
Good job. Finally, good news for people with type 2 diabetes or at risk for diabetes. Introducing new Nutrisystem D, the clinically tested program for losing weight and reducing blood sugar.
Ready? Let's go. It doesn't matter who you are. The first step is always the hardest. I'm Mike, and I lost 100 pounds on Nutrisystem D. When I was first diagnosed with diabetes, that first step was more like a giant leap, until I discovered Nutrisystem D.
New Nutrisystem D is based on over 35 years of weight loss research and on the science of the low glycemic index diet, full of good carbs and high in fiber. The clinical study shows people on Nutrisystem D lost 16 times more weight and reduced their blood sugar levels 5 times more than those on a hospital-directed plan. A1C was reduced by 0.9% and cholesterol was also reduced by 22.5 milligrams.
Losing weight and lowering my blood sugar has never been easier.
There's no counting carbs, calories, or points. Choose from over 140 menu options, including gourmet-style fresh frozen dishes, and get free delivery from our kitchens to your doorstep. Nutrisystem D includes free round-the-clock phone counseling, plus access to our registered dietitians, plus free online tools. Support is at your fingertips, free. New Nutrisystem D costs as low as $11 a day. It's $55 less a month than what many Americans spend on food. That's hundreds less than other weight loss programs.
I lost 100 pounds and lowered my blood sugar level. Nutrisystem D changed my life.
Mike's not alone. Many people have lost weight and lowered their blood sugar level with new Nutrisystem D. New Nutrisystem D. It's satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. You've got nothing to lose but the weight.
Want to keep going?
New Nutrisystem D for people with diabetes who want to lose weight and live better. Call or click today.
You phone me more right now. Large corporations don't care about you any more than they care about the loss of our jobs overseas. They will use you up like a cigarette and throw you away. I've spent 37 years fighting for the working people of this country in work comp cases, and I know what to do.
Call Brian Moore now at 303-377-5959.
What gets you out running, walking, or doing what you really love to do? Let's rewind. You have your own motivations for being out there. Enjoy every second. The Boulder Running Company has what you need to make your experience even better. From free video gait analysis to a huge casual shoe selection to apparel and accessories. The Boulder Running Company, Boulder, Denver, Colorado Springs, and online at boulderrunningcompany.com.
Follow Lance Armstrong every day on the Giro d'Italia, only on Universal Sports. We believe in cycling.
Under 25K from the finish of the longest stage at this year's Giro d'Italia, the Queen's Stage, stage number 10 through the Italian Alps, and the main field that includes the pink jersey of Danilo De Luca, also Lance Armstrong. They are just about 2 minutes behind a group of 3 that includes Giovanni Visconti, Andre Grivko, and Stefano Garzelli. And almost 6 hours on the bike now for everyone today on what has become a very warm day in the mountains. Temperature in the low 80s, but bright sunshine, no threat of inclement weather as they go through Villaparosa now. And both Lance Armstrong and Levi Leipheimer said that today is where the real Giro begins. It's the first genuine Grand Tour stage of this year's race. And well, judging by those very weighty comments, you would expect to see some explosiveness coming from the main heavy hitters as this race gets closer to the finish today.
Well, Stephen, that's a pretty big statement by these guys, considering stage 4 and 5 were mountaintop finishes in the first week, and it put some of the GC hopefuls out of contention. That tells you how much harder these guys expect these final couple of weeks of racing to be. So we should see a lot of action here, and the peloton still very much in pursuit of our 3 breakaway riders with LPR breaks at 2:03. So it looks as though the 3 guys off the front still holding their own, but it's still a little ways to the finish.
And still that Category 2 climb coming up, Premartino. And that was a climb that was added to the profile. It wasn't originally in the initial Giro course profile when they laid out the way that this 100th anniversary Giro d'Italia was going to go. And this was supposed to be a 5 climb stage up through the French Alps, but as we've documented, they've had to alter the course of today's route. So because they've had to take out some of the climbs in the French Alps, they added Premartino near the finish of today's stage.
And we should definitely expect to see this group getting their lead chipped into on this final categorized climb, because back in the pack, The LPR guys that have been doing the pulling all the way down the hill will be spent, but they'll put different guys on the front on the climb who will be fresh to really pick up that tempo on the climb, whereas these three have been going all day now for several hours, and they're starting to wear down.
This is the last town before the climb begins. And that climb starting just inside of 20K left before the finish line. Well, a lot of activity on the road as they now go under 20K. There's going to be a lot of action inside the final kilometers of today's stage, because not only do you have the Cat 2 that's coming up, you have the riser that we mentioned inside the final 3K that hits 15% in gradient at one point, has some cobbles for a short stretch. So this race is going to be very unpredictable and could be very dramatic because of those significant risers here in the final 20K.
Yeah, look at this. All of Basso's team on the front now, so they have started to throw in quite an effort here. Maybe they think the LPR team doesn't actually have what they need to bring this back. And once again, I question the logic here for Basso. I think that there's no GC threat up the road. Basso is here to try and win this race overall. Let the LPR guys continue to use up their fuel. Don't help them out.
Now, Basso has sent his team to the front quite a lot so far during the first 10 days of racing here. Along with LPR, they probably spend more time at the head of the main field than any squad that we have seen.
Well, this certainly will play into the hands of Astana and Rabobank for Menchov. Menchov doesn't have a super powerful team here, and as long as these two Italian teams continue to do a ton of work, it helps those other guys out.
Now, both Lance and Levi not too far off the front as well, just behind Liquid Gas, it appears. Now, they go inside of 20 kilometers left now. Well, Levi Leipheimer sitting in fourth in the general classification has looked very good on the climbs, and perhaps just biding his time to that long time trial coming up in 2 days' time. And there comes Levi up near the front now, and that's of the main field. This is the head of the stage right now, our three riders who are over 6 minutes deep into, or I should say 6 hours deep into today's stage. So over 6 hours on the bike and still clinging to a lead over the main field. Now Garzelli, Visconti, and Grivko. Stefano Garzelli, the one in the green, and the two ISD teammates now riding in behind.
And not looking quite as good right now. I mean, obviously, they're soft pedaling because they're coming into this corner, but these guys are starting to show a little bit of signs of fatigue. You're seeing guys standing up in that lead trio, stretching, trying to work the kinks out. Back in the field, you've had a lot of freshness, and they're going to certainly light it up on this final categorized climb as Visconti leads him up. Now here comes his teammate Grivko in front, and your Mountains jersey wearer second in the competition going into the day, now the leader in that competition by virtue of getting maximum bonification on the first two categorized climbs of the day.
And this is the peloton making that very sharp left-hand turn, leading them onto the climb. Go left, go right, and now up to the front of the race. And well, let's take a look at the green line indicating the initial slope of this final categorized climb of the day to Pramartino.
And Grivko's already been dropped, so now we're down to two. It's Visconti and Garzelli, and they're the only two men. There is Pelizzotti, the Italian on Liquid Gas. And we got to see Basso right there. There's Menchov behind. There's Basso in front of him. Menchov right behind him. And in the orange, and Levi Leipheimer in the Astana kit as all the contenders now. Mick Rogers, two riders behind Levi in the white of Columbia High Road.
Now they're really accelerating now on the final categorized climb on stage 10. It's a short climb, only 6.8 kilometers, gains a little over 400 meters. The average gradient just over 6%, but there is a section that does tilt up to 12%. So after so many miles on the bike today, they could really feel that. So over 6 hours altogether, we could see this as a springboard for some more attacks. Perhaps these guys could be caught. Other riders from the main field could launch themselves and go to the front of the race on the day. So we'll see if this will be a pivotal climb. Danilo De Luca looking very comfortable at the front of the main field in the Maglia Rosa here up the slopes of the Pramartino here on stage 10.
Proactive Solution has good news if you have a difficult pimple or sudden breakout and can't find relief. Because when you order now, you'll get the exclusive refining mask free with your 3-piece kit. Just a dab, and the mask is designed to zap problems. It's fast. It's dramatic.
I put it on in the evening before I go to bed, and when I wake up in the morning, you don't have acne. That's a good feeling.
It works the fastest. It's potent. It's like my little skincare army.
Call now and order the amazing Proactive Solution to heal your acne and help prevent future breakouts. You'll save 50% on Proactive when you order in the next 4 minutes, just $19.95.
For on-the-spot pimple control, I use the refining mask. Just a little dab, that's all you need.
It's a Proactive Best product, and it's part of Proactive's Best offer. Don't just dream of clear, beautiful skin. Make it real. Order Proactive now and get a free upgrade to priority shipping. Call 1-800-766-6771.
What's going on, everybody? Hanging out here in the Han booth, and I want to talk to you about the Mu Uno. Now, this is their bare bones, lightweight urban cruiser bike. It's got 16-inch wheels, but it's got some really unique features as well. Since it's designed for the urban lifestyle, you may have a small apartment. I know I do. It's pretty brutal. So what you then do is you can keep this disengaged, push it down, lock it back up. Then you move on over here to the handlebars. Flip this quick release down, and then basically fold the handlebars right down like that. And here's the big reveal. I love this. Undo it. You're gonna wanna step around. It makes it easier for you to fold the bicycle up. And now you have a bicycle in the corner, out of the way, not hanging, not tripping over it. It's where it needs to be until the next time you gotta go ride.
On the boards out there, guys. This is your territory, Grimson. Do your job.
Grimson.
Hello?
Hi, honey. What? Now? All right. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain, and the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, sweetheart.
Hey, it's my girl.
You know, my daughter.
Love. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Universal Sports.
Yes, a superhero today.
Home of world champions.
Now our two leaders going under 15 kilometers left to ride to the finish, and the main field now hovering at just around 1 minute back. So they're taking some time out of our two leaders here at the moment, and they're really starting to move here. And there you see the pink jersey of our overall general classification leader. Now, will this final climb of the day be a killer climb, or will it be a climb for the killer? Will DeLuca himself try to make a move? Maybe take some time on the time trial threats for Thursday. So many different tactical ways to play this here.
Well, we look at our two leaders, and Visconti really doesn't have the climbing form this year that Garzelli does, so Visconti not even able to help, try to stay away here. It's all Garzelli, and Visconti just sitting on Garzelli, looking over his shoulder, maybe saying, dude, if you could give me anything, you need to get on the front. But Visconti suffering, and Garzelli not looking much better as he drives it up this climb, trying to hold on.
And the peloton now just at precisely 1 minute back of Visconti and Stefano Garzelli right now. Now Garzelli Really starting to show the signs of a long day on the bike, with Liquigas now leading the chase. Remember, he launched that solo break going up the first of the 3 climbs on the day. So this entire field has already been over 2 Category 1 climbs, well in excess of 200 kilometers on a very warm day, and now having to deal with his final Cat 2. So some very tired legs. We're about to really find out who recovered well on the rest day and who is going to really feel the effects of such a long, hard day in the saddle.
Yeah, tough tempo being set right now by Liquigas, and that's Schmid, the man on the front, who did a big setup the other day as well for Basso, and he's back on the front with Basso on his wheel. Right behind him, Pelizzotti, and then behind him, the pink jersey. Then there is Levi Leipheimer in the top of your screen. Lance is there, and right in front of them, Mick Rogers. So a lot of the contenders there right now.
Now Menchov and Sastra also there. Well, number 23 for the Astana team, we saw a moment ago, Chris Horner.
That right there,
Popovic, number
151
27.
is Gilberto Simoni in the middle of your screen, and he has not shown that he can win it again this year either. Carlos Sastre there in the black, number 61. Menchov right in front of him in the orange of the Rabobank team. So the contenders moving to the front here, as everybody knows that this could be a dangerous moment here in this very, very long day.
Now keep in mind, this is not a summit finish. Once they go over the top of the climb, there's still 11K left to go to the finish. So perhaps some time on the descent for some guys to recover and make up whatever time they may lose going up the Premartino. We will have to see, but the really key thing is the fact that it's such a long stage, and this is a short climb that on another day may not make that much of a difference, but when you're talking the end of 262K, it might really create some separation.
And these guys get to breathe in a nice cloud of dust from all the vehicles in front of them. And this is a little bit of a flatter section of the climb. Schmid still on the front there for Liquigas. You can see Pelizzotti grabbing a drink from his bottle. It's going to actually kick up here a little bit later. In the final kilometer of this climb is where they hit that 12% part of the gradient. And Visconti just cannot even contribute here to the escape. Garzelli looking over his shoulder. That's never a good sign, and you can see how much more rapidly the peloton is moving. And once again, Liquigas using up a lot of their strength here when maybe they don't need to. Maybe they need to let LPR do the chasing and to protect that jersey, because Basso has a lot of ground to make up in the GC, and he needs to isolate DeLuca and get rid of his helpers.
Danilo DeLuca in that pink jersey, right on the wheels of the Liquigas boys at the front of the main field. Looking very attentive, riding right behind Basso. And now Levi Leipheimer and
Pelizzotti now
Lance
giving a little
there,
leg test here and just picking up the pace a little bit. DeLuca right on his wheel. Interesting to see this, as maybe he now sensing that our 2 overall leaders are about to be caught, and this may be a chance for the Liquigas squad to go for a stage win.
Now very twisting, tight mountain roads. Hard to get a glimpse of the peloton behind our 2 leaders to see exactly how close they may be. Remember, at 15K to go, it was exactly 1 minute, but the speed of the main field has been much higher than that of our 2 leaders, Visconti and also Garzelli right here.
A very tough climb, even though it's only Category 2, to come this late in the race. And
now Pelizzotti, it looks like, is off the front there by himself.
Indeed it is. Pelizzotti has gone clear. He has gotten rid of DeLuca. So he is in hot pursuit of our lead 2, and you can see him there in the back of your screen. He's only about 100 meters behind him.
Now Franco Pelizzotti, who was 4th overall on GC here at the Giro a year ago, now launching a solo attack to try and go across here. So tactically, what might he be thinking? Perhaps joining these three and staying away to the finish? That would eat up the bonus time that perhaps DeLuca might be thinking about today and help his teammate Basso's cause.
I think a very smart move here. Potential stage win for Pellizotti. Help the other two guys stay away. If he doesn't ride right by him right now, he's looking very smooth. The other riders are going to have to respond very quickly, or else he's going to go right on out of view. And so far, just a little bit of an uptick there from Garzelli. We know that Visconti cannot chase. He has shown that he has nothing left. Garzelli trying to keep it close here, but Pellizotti really turning on the afterburners right now.
Now Franco Pellizotti.
And now Visconti comes off.
Now Pellizotti looking extremely good. Other guys suffering as a result of the accelerations at the front of the race right now.
And there's Visconti. He gets swallowed up. It's Soler on the front of the field for the chase. Right behind him, the pink jersey of DeLuca, and behind him, it looks like Michael Rogers, and then Leipheimer.
And now Danilo DeLuca is up on the pedals, perhaps sensing that it's time for him to make a move.
Look at this, DeLuca putting in a big surge, but Soler right on his wheel. Leipheimer there, Basso there, Menchov in orange right behind them. So nobody letting DeLuca get any time at all.
Well, we saw in the Astana team meeting prior to the stage, Johan Brunel saying that DeLuca may launch an attack on the final climb. Be ready, be attentive, and we're seeing DeLuca with the acceleration, and many of the GC favorites are matching him right now.
Look at this, Horner is off the back with Cuneo. So Horner not having the great legs he's had in the previous mountain days.
Starting to get to the very decisive moments of stage number 10. Franco Pellizotti, a solo attack off the front, but the marquee names are just behind.
With greasy fast food, what are you really getting? Try a tempting new Subway Tuscan Chicken Melt instead. Seasoned chicken and melted cheese with 9 grams of fat. Part of a Subway Fresh Fit meal. It's a simple way to enjoy eating better. Subway, eat fresh.
Back to the top of the hill, Ryan St. Onge, its first jump had him in second place. He needs to come up big here. Wow. So with just one competitor to go, Ryan St. Onge goes into first place. Now the final competitor, Steve Amichel, is pretty good. That was pretty darn good. This for the World Championship. It's not enough. So Ryan St. Onge is the world champion. What a season and what a battle between those two.
Everyone else is trying to imitate your Auto Hyundai dealers. Nobody can say what Hyundai can say. Only Hyundai can say if you lose your job, you can bring it back with the Hyundai Assurance. Only Hyundai can say you're covered with America's best warranty. And only Hyundai can say Santa Fe, top safety pick again. Santa Fe's already cost thousands less than Toyota or Honda. And right now, buy any Hyundai SUV and get up to $5,500 in savings. Visit your Colorado Hyundai dealers today.
Your day just got better.
I'm Kimberly Moss. And I'm Audra Lowe. Together, we'll make your day better with great ideas, tips, and stories you can use throughout the day. From fashion, fitness, and decorating to relationships, finances, and tasty recipes. Better has it all. We'll help you see things in a whole new way. Try something different, or why not try something better?
Weekdays at 9 a.m. You gotta watch because it's, well, better.
The 31-year-old Italian, Franco Pellizotti, out front now on the final climb of stage number 10. And he is inside of 2K to go to the summit. Lance Armstrong there, it looks like, getting dropped off the back.
So definitely things heating up in the chase right now. The danger being well aware now that Pellizotti looking very good, close to the steepest part of this climb with 12% here, a very short pitch. And Armstrong has come off once again as the critical moment, the crescendo of this race. It's crunch time. There's Armstrong. The guy's going just a little bit up in front of him there with the other main rivals.
Now, as far as Armstrong, he's trying to regain contact with the favorites, but most of the top GC men are there, including his teammate, Levi Leipheimer, who you see on the right-hand portion of the screen there.
You can see David Arroyo, number 51. There's Garzelli in number 1 on the left-hand side of your screen. Soler in front of them in the red of Barlow World. Basso is in there. Menchov is in there. DeLuca is in there. This is a heavy hitter selection for sure.
Well, two names that we don't appear to see right now are that of Lövkvist and Michael Rogers, the two Columbia High Road men who are in the top 3 on GC as the day started.
Yeah, I do not see either of those guys in the move, so this is very much a great opportunity for Liquigas right now, because Pellizotti all on his own going for the stage win. Basso can ride wheels. Perfect setup for Liquigas.
12-second the lead from Pellizotti. Back to the group of the Maglia Rosa, which is now a very small select group of riders. Pellizotti, a multiple Giro stage winner in his career. And of course, the Liquigas team has come to this Giro all in support of Ivan Basso and his GC hopes. But as we often see, a GC team will look for opportunistic moments to get a stage win for some other riders. And this would be an ideal case if Pellizotti can stay away. Coming to the summit, the Premartino, and then from that summit, remember, 11 kilometers still to the finish. So there is a descent off this climb. It's not a summit finish here today at the Giro.
And look at that at the front of the chase. DeLuca was on the front, but there was one rider who had sprung free of the chase. Could it have been Soler, the Barlow World climbing sensation, going for something here? But right now, it is all Pellizotti off the front. He's looking extremely smooth still. 75 meters to this final king of the mountain. Then a very technical descent and one more very short but very hard little bump in the finishing couple of kilometers.
And now the group of the main GC favorites, and they're just a couple of seconds back. So they are approaching Pellizotti in a big hurry, and Stefano Garzelli there in the green jersey, bib number 1. He's hanging on to the back of that group right now, as it looks like Lance Armstrong is going to lead a second group coming through there, and that looked like Michael Rogers off to his right.
That looked like the Rogers. I think that was Armstrong, as well as possibly one of the Custapan riders.
Now things really starting to break up on this final categorized climb of the day, as you might imagine, especially with the acceleration at the front of the field. So now for our leader, Pellizotti, about 11K to go to the finish, and he's going to try to be as aerodynamic as possible on these technical, very narrow roads through this tree-lined section. There are no more categorized climbs, but don't forget, we still have that riser near the finish. Inside of 3K to go, a 400-meter section of cobbles that will kick up to 15% at one stretch.
A very, very technical descent here, so Pellizotti really need to be on the top of his attention.
And the chase group now, just a few seconds behind. Now watch how carefully Pellizotti takes this turn, using all of the road.
Yeah, and that makes it tough then to set up for the left-hand corner, because you're not able to hit the apex as easy. So that second turn of that sequence, he really had to scrub off a lot of speed, and that doesn't do you any good when you're trying to stay in front of this group. When you're going through a series of very tough turns, it's very important to set up for that turn. You're on the far outside, you cut in for the apex, you come back out to the outside, and then you immediately have to swing over to the other side of the road so you can set up for your next turn. If you don't get that done, if you get a little bit out of your rhythm, then you start to lose that, not only your confidence, but you start to lose your speed. Pellizotti not looking super fluid on this descent. Once again, using the entire bit of the road.
Now, at our last official time check, these GC riders were just a handful of seconds behind Pellizotti.
And Nobody in this chase with any teammates. It's all mano a mano at this point.
Oh,
And
look at this.
this.
DeLuca's about to get on Pelizzotti's wheel here.
So DeLuca has just gone and thrown everything into this descent, risking life and limb. Oh, it looked like a little bobble there.
Well, this is our first view of just how close the mighty Arosa is to the head of the stage today. DeLuca getting a jump on the other GC contenders here, and now there's a chase for that pink jersey.
And look at this, at the front of this group of 5, it's Leipheimer once again, and not really holding the wheel of the lead chase. Leipheimer has not looked very good on the descents. We've seen this in the other days where he opens up a little bit of a gap, and that's not a good situation this late in the race.
And Garzelli hanging on the back.
And that's Basso in there as well. So Leipheimer has gapped the other guys off.
Now what we have now is Pelizzotti with the pink jersey of DeLuca right behind him here. And look at how many tight turns there are. These guys really slowing it down, trying to then accelerate out of the turns. But DeLuca seems determined to get some bonus time today, the way a lot of people expected when stage number 10 began. He needs that bonus time going into the time trial on Thursday. He says he figures he's going to lose at least a couple of minutes, if not more. So he's got to take time out of guys like Levi, like Mick Rogers, like Minshaw, like some of the better time trialists who he's going to lose time to in just a couple of days.
Well, getting a better look at these groups now, it's clear that Pelizzotti is going to be caught by DeLuca. The other men up there are Menchov and Sastre. The next group back is the Basso Leipheimer group. It also has the Barlow World rider in there, Soler, and that's the group that's losing a little bit of time. Here are your 2 leaders.
And DeLuca now has come to the front. And Pelizzotti now moving back in front of the pink jersey, and here's a move by 3 of those other riders to get across here. It looks like that's Carlos Sastre in the black, and then behind him, Dennis Menchov in the orange and the blue of Rabobank.
Indeed it is, the third man there, Arroyo for Castapan. So those are the leaders of all those squads, as now it's a group of 5.
And Pelizzotti dropping back, it looks like, to help out his teammate Basso.
Well, at this point, Pelizzotti really needs to not be doing any work at all. Here's the Lance group, and let's see where Lance is. He went over the top of the climb with Rogers and Joaquin Rodriguez, the Castapana rider. But this is our chase group right now. This is Leipheimer, Basso, and they're not working all that smooth.
And then this is the group just behind the Basso Leipheimer group that includes Lance Armstrong. So keep in mind, Danilo DeLuca started this stage with a 13-second lead over Thomas Lobquist, a 44-second advantage over Michael Rogers, and 51 seconds in front of Levi Leipheimer. There is bonus time at the finish. Should DeLuca cross first, it's 20 seconds. Second place gets 12 seconds. Third place, 8 seconds. So very critical here in the closing kilometers. And DeLuca would love to get those 20 for crossing first.
That second group that has Basso and Leipheimer in it, not nearly as organized as this first group right now. Pelizzotti needs to not do any help at all for this lead group because his team leader is right behind him. So Pelizzotti in the green of liquid gas needs to just sit on this group, try and discourage them from being very smooth. And right now he's sitting on DeLuca's wheel. We'll see what he does when he gets to the front. He should just sit up and not contribute to this escape effort.
Now DeLuca still leading the way here. Now for Danilo DeLuca, his entire season is resting on what happens at this Giro d'Italia. His LPR Brakes team is a pro-continental team. They're not invited to the other big races outside of Italy this year. So he's been training, practicing, doing everything to be at his best condition for this Giro. His entire season comes down to these 3 weeks, and so far in the first week, he's really riding like it.
He certainly is. This is that last bump before the finish, and DeLuca just stretching everybody's legs here. Arroyo, the first one to pop. Now Pelizzotti has popped. Menchov is hurting. The only man look like he's trying to do this is Sastre in the black of the Cervelo test team. But DeLuca out of the saddle the whole way up so far. He is absolutely smashing this climb.
There's Levi Leipheimer. Ivan Basso alongside Leipheimer. Gardzelli now struggling as well. 3K left to go for Danilo De Luca. Now De Luca has broken free and now riding by himself out front. Lance Armstrong in a second chase group now. Now just up ahead of him on the road is this group containing his teammate Levi Leipheimer. So we're jumping back and forth a little bit as things have splintered. There's a couple of different groups on the road behind our leader Danilo De Luca, who's in the clear. Under 3K left.
De Luca with an absolutely crushing performance here over these final couple of climbs. Now out in front. I do not see anybody being able to bring this man back. He is hyper motivated. He's got not only the time gap that he's going to try and work on to think about, but also a 20-second bonus. This is a huge amount of potential padding for him in the time trial.
And what about for Levi? Is he just basically trying to stay safe, knowing that if he can minimize his loss here, that he has the advantage over De Luca in the time trial, so he's not going to risk anything trying to go too deep to bring him back?
I think this is a bit of a crushing day for Leipheimer because he hasn't been descending as well as De Luca. Losing De Luca on that first descent we saw just a minute ago. Really a bad situation for Leipheimer. He knows he can out-time trial him typically. Now Leipheimer's got to be questioning, can he even out-time trial him on that very technical course? Because De Luca is so good technically right now.
Under 2K left to go for Danilo De Luca, who's already won one stage so far here at this Giro. Carlos Sastre, the man in black there, for the Cervelo test team as they are in the town of Pinerolo now and coming to the end of the longest stage of this year's Giro.
I have to say, Sastre's form looking very good. For a man saying he was hoping for a podium, now coming into today in the rest day, he said, I want to win this thing. Well, he's certainly backing that up with the legs today, as Sastre looking very good as well as Menchov.
And now the Lance Armstrong group coming under 2K left to go now, but it's all Danilo De Luca out front, motivated and determined to take the stage win as he looks back to see exactly what kind of margin he has over his main GC contenders. Now, he can smell the finish and he can sniff those 20 seconds for a time bonus if he crosses over first.
It's not a big advantage for De Luca, but the killer certainly looks like he has the fuel left in the tank. And this is the Lance Armstrong group. It's also the Mick Rogers group, the Joaquin Rodriguez group as well.
Now the final kilometer under the red kite for Danilo De Luca. Putting time into his main rivals on stage 10. He said it would not be a decisive stage in the overall scheme of things, but it could be one where you might take a few seconds here or there. You could also lose some time. Well, he's coming out on the good end of that today because he's going to put some time into his main contenders, and it looks like he's going to get the maximum bonus.
Steve, De Luca riding a perfect Giro d'Italia so far. He's taken time out late in the last couple of stages when he needed to. He's won a mountaintop finish. This man's on fire.
And the crowd greets him as he comes in. The Leipheimer chase group. They're not going to bring him back. 300 meters to go. Danilo De Luca riding away to his second stage win at this year's Giro d'Italia. The killer conquers the Queen stage and takes victory on stage 10. And now the chase for second and third. Still more bonus time available.
And Pellizzoni gets that easily over Menchov and Sastre. And we saw just as De Luca was coming into the line, the Lance and the Leipheimer group came together. This is Arroyo holding on as he got away just at the end. And this group here containing Leipheimer, Lance, and a bunch of Mike Rogers is in there. There he is in the white. Gilberto Simoni. So Lance with a good day today. A little bit bad for Leipheimer, I'd have to say.
6 hours and 30 minutes for our overall stage winner today, Danilo De Luca. And the clock counting towards the other riders who are now crossing over. Lance Armstrong.
Looks like he had a tough day in the saddle as yelling at this guy to move and somebody bumping into him. That would not be a good thing to do, to knock Lance down right now.
Now the big story of the day, overall, Giro leader Danilo De Luca adding to his margin, putting time into his primary contenders on GC. Not only did he have a gap, he gets the bonus of 20 seconds for winning the stage, and the killer looking to be on tremendous form here as this second week of racing gets underway at the 100th anniversary Giro d'Italia.
Finally, good news for people with type 2 diabetes or at risk for diabetes. Introducing new Nutrisystem D, the clinically tested program for losing weight and reducing blood sugar.
Ready? Let's go. It doesn't matter who you are. The first step is always the hardest. I'm Mike, and I lost 100 pounds on Nutrisystem D. When I was first diagnosed with diabetes, that first step was more like a giant leap, until I discovered Nutrisystem D.
New Nutrisystem D is based on over 35 years of weight loss research and on the science of the low glycemic index diet, full of good carbs and high in fiber. The clinical study shows people on Nutrisystem D lost 16 times more weight and reduced their blood sugar levels 5 times more than those on a hospital-directed plan. A1C was reduced by 0.9% and cholesterol was also reduced by 22.5 milligrams.
Losing weight and lowering my blood sugar has never been easier.
There's no counting carbs, calories, or points. Choose from over 140 menu options, including gourmet-style fresh frozen dishes, and get free delivery from our kitchens to your doorstep. Nutrisystem D includes free round-the-clock phone counseling, plus access to our registered dietitians, plus free online tools. Support is at your fingertips, free. New Nutrisystem D costs as low as $11 a day. It's $55 less a month than what many Americans spend on food. That's hundreds less than other weight loss programs.
I lost 100 pounds and lowered my blood sugar level. Nutrisystem D changed my life.
Mike's not alone. Many people have lost weight and lowered their blood sugar level with new Nutrisystem D. New Nutrisystem D. It's satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. You've got nothing to lose but the weight.
Want to keep going?
New Nutrisystem D for people with diabetes who want to lose weight and live better. Call or click today.
Expensive dress, my mind. The store won't give me a refund.
It requires stores with no refund policies to post that on their receipts and in signs at the store. And most stores do clearly print it on the receipt. The problem is that most people don't read the receipt until they want to return the item. Always ask before you buy. That said, take your best shot at the counter, being polite, persistent, and asking for a manager who may be able to make you happy just to keep you as a good customer.
Going huge out of the pipe. Ooh, that's what I like to see. Oh! Having a great run here. Very, very smooth.
We have a new leader.
Drew Soicher. Sports that get your attention. The CBA's best sportscaster.
The bobblehead guy? I can't stand him.
The 2009 Giro d'Italia has been brought to you by Cervelo. Watch the development of a pro team at www.bartape.net. And by Full Bar. Be full, live full with Full Bar.
upcoming days here at the Giro.
It was long, hard, sunny, nice. It was okay, but I think it's better to save something for the end of the Giro in case we have the jersey. So it's better to save something. Yeah.
Well, his teammate Levi Leipheimer lost a little time, still sits in the same position he started the day on GC at 4th, but Danilo De Luca looking like the killer, living up to that label and putting on the pink jersey once again after another brilliant solo move in the last few kilometers.
I have to say once again, I agree with Brockovich. It's time to save energy, but you can't lose time to the killer on a descent. If you can climb with him like Levi can, he can't let him go on the downhills.
But is perhaps Levi thinking, though, that if he saves some energy, the killer perhaps putting out too much now, that he can take back that time and much more going forward to the time trial? Those are the calculations you have to do, right?
Yeah, I just don't see it. I think that Levi's confidence on the descent is not perfect.
All right, tomorrow it's a 214-kilometer stage number 11. For now, for Todd Gogulski, I'm Steve Schlanger. We bid you so long from stage 10 at the Giro d'Italia.